ask for your consent. And then let me go ahead and admit everybody. I love the waiting, connecting to audio. We're getting everyone. Okay, well, welcome to those of you who are prospective students who are joining us. We really appreciate you being part of this virtual panel. We'll be talking a little bit about the Honors College and how honors courses are different from regular College of Charleston courses. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Roberts. I am the Associate Director of Admissions for the Honors College. I'm also an alum of the Honors College, so I went through some honors courses myself. I studied sociology and English while I was a student and graduated back in 2014, which is increasingly far and far away, which is why we're relying on lots of really great current students to talk about their experiences that are a little bit more current and relevant. So thanks again for joining us. There's just a handful of you, but we have more signed up, so we may have a few more folks joining us. And I also am recording this session. I'll share this afterward with everyone who signed up, just so everyone can sort of learn a little bit more, but I'll be sure to share it with you as well. So I want to go ahead and let our panelists open up, share a little bit about themselves, and then we'll get into questions. Those of you who are on the panel, let's just start with Madeline, if you want to introduce yourself, and then tell us name, year, major, and hometown.
Okay, I'm Madeline. I'm a junior. I'm a biology major with a concentration in molecular biology, and I'm from Columbia, South Carolina.
Awesome. Jenna, you go next.
I'm Jenna. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm a freshman. I'm currently undeclared, but I'm hoping to study accounting.
Guin.
Hey, I'm Guin. I'm from Fort Mill, South Carolina, and I'm a junior, and my majors are history and secondary education.
Awesome. Gabby?
Hey guys, I'm Gabby. As she said, I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina, and I'm a junior, and I'm a double major in English and International Studies.
Meleana?
Hi guys, my name is Meleana. I'm currently a freshman at CofC, majoring in music with a concentration in vocal performance, and I am from Goose Creek, South Carolina.
Awesome. And then Samantha?
Hi everybody, I'm Samantha. I'm currently a senior from Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm majoring in geology and anthropology.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So hopefully that shows you right off the bat, we have a great mix of things that folks are studying. I don't even know that I intentionally did this, but you all really do cover the gamut when it comes to all the different majors and double majoring and all of that good stuff. Look forward to hearing from each of your specific perspectives. So I want to just start by sort of giving a little bit of information about the Honors College curriculum. So honor students do have certain courses that they're required to take. It is designed so that there's mostly categories and you can sort of pick a course within each category to take. And so the only ones that all of our honor students are required to take are the Beyond George Street class, which is our first year experience course. You will hear them refer to it as BGS. So just a heads up, when you hear BGS, that is our first year experience course. And then academic writing, which is a composition course that all of our students do in their first year. So both of those are really critical to building that strong foundation. And then everything beyond that, there's going to be lots of options for you to choose from. Really pick what makes the most sense for you, because we have students in all different majors and minors and coming in with lots of different credits and that sort of thing. We want to make sure that it's a pretty flexible curriculum for our students. Typically, honor students will take 1 to 2 honors courses a semester. There are some semesters, like if you study abroad, where you may not take an honors course, but you will spend, a good bit of time with other honor students in the classroom, which I think makes for a really engaging and challenging experience. I'm going to share in the chat box just some different links of places to sort of, if you're a visual learner, to look through the honors curriculum. And then also just some lists of like courses that we've offered in the past, ones that we're offering next spring. They do change from year to year. And so, hopefully you can read through that list and get excited about some of them. But I would encourage all of you who are joining us as prospective students, if you have questions for this group, you can go ahead and type those into the chat box. I've got a couple of questions to get us started. So in each of your perspectives, how do honors classes differ from regular CofC classes, with a special note on, are honors classes harder?
Okay, I'll go. Hi, so I don't find them harder. I find them interesting because they're not like your basic classes. Like, they usually combine thoughts really well and are very focused on discussion. So it's not as much as like rote memorization, but it's just kind of about like discussing big ideas and talking, and you get to be with other honors kids. So those discussions are usually like pretty intelligent and pretty like eye-opening. So yeah, I enjoy them for that aspect. They're definitely like, you get to engage with those students and your professor in a like way more like, I don't want to say less formal, but you do like get to like have a lot of discussions during class, which I think is really cool. And in my other like more major classes or gen eds, it's very much like them talking at you, and then you like answering a question every once in a while, or like doing assignments and stuff. So at least the ones I've taken are also like have your own reading, but not all like that. But yeah,
I agree that the honors college courses are a lot more like discussion based. I can remember just like being in one of my favorite classes with one of the professors, Professor Alfonso, and we were literally at like a conference table, and we would just sit around the table and like have discussions about like current topics. This was last semester, so COVID was obviously a topic, and they're not necessarily harder, but they just definitely get you thinking more critically. And it's like Gabby said, not just as much just like memorization, just learn it for the test as you're like applying it to like real world situations.
Yeah,
I'll go. Oh.
Go ahead.
I was also going to say, kind of like what Gabby was saying, they're not necessarily harder. I think the honors professors do hold you to a little bit of a higher standard, because they know that you kind of, you know, have the capacity to do kind of what Madeline was saying as well, like these really discussion-based classes. So I wouldn't say they're harder, they're definitely more enjoyable, because you do get to share your own ideas a lot, and your professors really depend on you to lead the discussion and lead the class, which makes it so much more engaging, because you know, if it's a discussion class, you basically get to pick what the topic is, because you get to discuss it, and you get to kind of, you know, I had some words, but I'm just forgetting them right now. But yes, basically the discussion classes are a lot of fun. And the honors professors, they do expect a lot more out of you, but it also makes the class more rewarding because you get to learn a lot more.
Yeah, Samantha, you have anything to add to that?
I was just gonna add maybe more from the honors like STEM perspective, and like more of the math heavy classes or chemistry heavy classes, because I took the honors organic chemistry class. Obviously I can't really compare it to the normal, but I've also taken normal classes in biology and things like that. And I definitely think that harder is the wrong word. It's a lot more of an emphasis on you do prep before every class. So instead of a frantic studying for tests every 3 weeks, the expectation is in class, every class you will have already looked over your notes beforehand. And so I've just found that in more of those STEM heavy classes, there's just an expectation of learning alongside the material instead of a cram focus. And obviously everybody still studies before the night of the test and a couple days before the test, but it really makes the class material easier to kind of go along and connect things. And we make a lot more connections to real world things and jobs and, you know, career paths. And it always made more sense to me why I was doing what I was doing in honors classes, because we have time to connect, because the expectation is you do a lot more work outside of class and you come to class ready with questions, not the day before the test. And so I've always really enjoyed that about honors classes. I kind of see the big picture even when I'm just doing stoichiometry or some scary math problem.
I'm sorry, what was that last word that you said? Stoichiometry?
Stoichiometry.
Stoichiometry, okay. Not that I know what that is, because sociology and English, but that's great. Yeah, Jenna.
Kind of going off with what Samantha said, like I think that the 2 honors courses I've taken in my 7 weeks of being an honors college student I've definitely seen how we've made a lot of real world connections in our classes and how interdisciplinary they are. And I think that that is something like really unique to the Honors College and makes it, like everyone keeps saying, not harder, but just you appreciate more like what you're doing. Like I'm taking academic writing now, and my professor is teaching the class with like an emphasis on health and well-being. So we're reading a lot of like literature about how to be happy and just really important things that just make your life a lot better, and you get to take two different ideas and mesh them together, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I will also add that the Honors College does a great job of picking like really engaging, really awesome professors. I've never had an honors course that I didn't absolutely love the professor. So you're always sure you're getting a good person if it's an Honors College course.
Does everyone have a favorite professor within the Honors College?
It's hard to choose.
Is that too hard to choose?
It's hard to choose.
I took a class with Dr. Joshua Shanes. He's in the Jewish Studies department. Oh my gosh, that man is amazing. That class was so much fun. I don't think I've like ever learned as much as I did in those few months. That was awesome. And I also loved I took a leadership class with Leo Higdon. I don't think he's like a professor, but he used to be the president. And that was also just amazing. Those were both last semester, so I got very lucky with those too.
I did love taking a class with Marjorie Wentworth, who is the poet laureate of South Carolina. I don't know if she counts as an honors college professor, but I do adore her.
Yeah.
So she's great. She's fun.
Did you take the band? Yep, it's fine. I live in a city. Did you take the banned books class with her?
Yeah.
Very cool. Madeline, do you have a favorite honors professor?
Oh, that's so hard to choose. Like, I love Dr. Alfonso. I actually took another class with him after I took data visualization and storytelling, which I think has been by far my favorite honors course, because we just did so much cool stuff in there. And I actually took another class with him because I liked it so much. But I've honestly loved all my honors professors, so it's hard to choose.
Perfect. So I have a question from the chat from Ryan. Thanks for asking, Ryan. So how flexible is the Honors College with accepting dual enrollment credits? And I'll also add in there like AP, IB credits. Can you remember back to orientation when you got your credits?
I can speak a little to that from like the BGS side. I think especially as the years go on, they've become really accepting of the transfer credits and the IB and AP and things like that. From my experience, there is a big push or emphasis on everybody kind of taking the same baseline classes. And a lot of the Honors College classes overlap with general education requirements, which is great. So almost every honors class is going to some way overlap with another requirement. So a lot of honors classes aren't required. They just also double dip with that gen ed, which is really great. I know for things like math and English and things like that, there's the possibility for that. It's also super dependent on your major. A lot of pre-med students should take biology again, take calculus again in college, or at least it's recommended. So I definitely think the flexibility is there, and it's really just dependent on what you're thinking about going into and what credit that is and if it's going to even apply to your major. I came in with human geography. I got those credits on my transcript, but that has nothing to do with anything I study. So I have them, but it didn't really help me. So that's also a big thing, you know, depending on what's actually going to align with your major.
And I don't know if you're a STEM major or not, but the Honors College has a great program with the chemistry department where they have what they call accelerated general chemistry. And it's for people that have like credits from like AP Chem or something. And you get to go into like this, you do like a 1 semester instead of 2 traditional semesters. And then you can go into the honors organics and chemistry sequence a lot faster. And I did that, and that was a great experience. So I don't know if there's stuff like that in other departments, but.
I can add a little bit about that. So I actually came in with a lot of AP credits, and a lot of them fulfilled the gen ed requirements, but I knew I had to, well, once I looked at the honors requirements and stuff like that, I had to realize that even if you take like an English AP or an English dual enrollment, you will have to take the honors academic writing. So that's something that I have credit for, but didn't necessarily get me out of an honors requirement. Also, I took a calculus class and got credit for that, and that will satisfy the quantitative literacy requirement in honors. So those are things that you'll just have to be careful and look at more closely if you want to use your AP credits.
Can I ask?
Oh, go ahead, Jenna.
So as Meleana was saying, like especially with English, even if you do get AP credit, it doesn't get you out of like the academic writing, but I'm pretty sure it does give humanities credit. So I made that mistake of not really caring about that test and not knowing about that. And if I had done a little better, I would have gotten some gen ed requirements out of the way. So you can still get credit in other areas from that test.
Yes, that's a good reminder, especially for those of you who are seniors. Take it serious. Take it seriously. We hope that it pays off in the end. So I think that's a great transition. So the next question I want to talk about is, and this is probably going to be especially relevant for those of you who are still early on, but how are honors classes different from AP, IB, dual enrollment, honors courses, classes you would have taken in high school? And then how was that adjustment from those courses into the honors courses?
Elizabeth, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Would you say that one more time? There's just some noise back.
Yeah. So how are honors classes different from the rigorous courses from high school, like AP, IB, and honors? And then was the adjustment to honors courses from those high school courses difficult for you?
Well, I was big into IB, so I don't know if any of y'all do IB. So for me, it actually wasn't that different from IB classes, except for it was like a little, not as much crazy work as IB was, because IB.
I second that.
I mean, I loved it, but I also did not like it. So it's like, but especially if you do IB, I don't know about AB, but I know IB like definitely teaches you how to write for the type of honors courses and how to like just manage your time like that. So I found it pretty, like, I found it not as bad, but again, I'm just coming from the IB realm, so I don't know about, I don't know about like APs and stuff. So.
I did a mixture of IB and AP, and I would say it's more similar to the IB classes than the AP classes, because I feel like with the AP classes, you're studying a lot of like content for like for your AP test at the end of the year, and it's very focused on just getting that content down. Whereas like in a lot of honors courses, it's more about discussion and bringing in ideas and discussing those ideas than it is just getting this information down for like to get your credits. Even that way, I felt a little bit that way with IB, but there's definitely, and it's not as like structured like this is like what's going to be covered on the exam. The professor can kind of, depending on the course, might like change it up or can determine like what they're going to teach.
Yeah, I've almost found my honors courses are less structured than any AP class I've ever taken before, but in a good way, because I think they offer a lot of flexibility for what students are interested in, which I've always really enjoyed. That when you get the syllabus, it's almost like we can do A, B, or C for this project. And then in a month, we'll do B or C, depending on how we liked A. And so it's almost like the students get to direct the way that the course goes, which I really appreciated, because with AP and IB and all that kind of stuff, it was pretty much, this is what you're learning, this is what we're doing, here are the PowerPoints, I've already got them made up for, the end of the semester. Whereas I think that the Honors College does a good job of pivoting based on student interest and the makeup of students in the classes, especially from those more discussion-based ones, which I've really enjoyed about them.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. I'll even speak just for like the general college too. Like there's definitely more of it's definitely more taking into account what students think. At least in the classes, at least in English and international studies it is. But yeah, honors classes do the same thing where it's since you're constantly talking to the professor, it's like you're a big part of the course as well. It's not just information being thrown at you.
So this is a question that's very logistical, but it's one I get a lot, so I think it's worth asking. Can you make any College of Charleston course an honors course?
I would have to say no to that statement. If you're saying any College of Charleston course, I think it would kind of be hard to make any music courses honors. But I'm sure from other perspectives, maybe a STEM, there might be like an honors equivalent for it. But there are some things that just aren't necessarily, they don't call for an honors level. So that's just something that I would say.
Yeah, like definitely look at and see, because for me, like when I majored in international studies and there was an intro to international studies course that was honors. So it's like definitely make sure that if you like, especially if you want to get honors credits out of the way and you want to start your major, like, or you get humanities credits, make sure you look. But I don't know if you can just make classes honors. So
I would say, I mean, there is the option in the Honors College to do something called a bachelor's essay, which is really like a year-long research project, usually taken during the junior or senior year. And that's really an opportunity for you to combine either, you know, one of your majors, multiple majors, interdisciplinary interests into a research project, internship, some kind of culminative event of everything you've learned. And so that theoretically can be honors if it's interdisciplinary and falls under a couple different umbrellas and doesn't really suit just one major. And so that's a great opportunity if you have a lot of interests you found in multiple classes and you want to combine them all. I think almost any research project could be honors as long as it was interdisciplinary. But I agree with what everybody else said. Just normal courses, no.
Those were great answers. Yeah, I asked that question because at some schools you can say, all right, I want to make this poli-sci class that I'm taking an honors course, and your professor will kind of add an extra paper onto it and it becomes an honors course. But our classes are structured differently. So those were good responses. I feel like you all looked at me like I was asking you a trick question. Okay, so this is actually perfect. So Samantha just mentioned the bachelor's essay. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the experiential learning course requirements. So honors engaged in the first year, that goes with your Beyond Georgia Street class, honors immersed, usually junior, sophomore year, and then the bachelor's essay. Would you all sort of explain what those things are and if you have been part of them, sort of like what you did for your project?
So I'll talk about my honors engaged. I was partnered with a local nonprofit called the Guin Hartman Project, and what they do is they do community gardens, school gardens, and what is it, like I forget the word, but like Title IX, is that the right word, Elizabeth? Title I. Okay, Title I schools. And I had a great time with it. We got to go. I had a car on campus my freshman year. So I went out with some of my friends. We got to go out to Sullivan's Island. We got to go to North Charleston and interact with a bunch of kids and do community gardens with them. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm kind of sad to hear that other freshmen right now during COVID don't get that same kind of experiential experience, but I'm sure whatever they've come up with is good too.
I can kind of talk about, I think, what I know of that's going on this year with Honors Engaged. I think like 2 years ago, didn't y'all add the deliberative democracy track? That's just like, you get to, there's different focuses that are based off of like the UN sustainability goals. And you pretty much, I know there's like a food security track, like a political track, environmental sustainability, and you work with the group that's in that section and just do things to help make a change. I don't know. You just build on that and work in the Charleston area to try and fix that issue that's going on. I know the Cougar votes came out of, I don't know if y'all know Cougar votes, but that came out of deliberative Honors Engaged last year, and they are a club on campus to help get more students to register to vote and vote. I don't know if I explained that well.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, so Cougar Votes is a great example where students were learning about democracy, liberty, justice, and democracy for all, I think was the track. And based on sort of what they were engaging with, they were realizing like a lot of students aren't actually registered to vote and aren't participating in the process. And so they launched a whole organization called Cougar Votes that's on campus, and it's just at Cougar Votes, I'm pretty sure, on Instagram and other sites, mostly Instagram. But you can sort of check out and see sort of what they're doing. And those are second-year honors students doing some of that really cool work. So that's a great example. What about Honors Immersed? Has anyone done their Honors Immersed yet?
Yeah, so I did mine and I was an Honors Engaged liaison. So I worked with like the Lennon Foundation when I was doing Honors Engaged, which is a nonprofit that works with children whose parents or caregivers have been affected by cancer. And I just loved it. And so the next year I was a liaison, which means like I was the person that like connected the honors kids with the Lennon Foundation. And I kind of like ran Honors Engaged for freshmen in the particular who were working with the Lennon Foundation. And so that counts as an Honors Immersed. So if you like really, if you come into college and really like who you're partnered with, like that's definitely a good way to go. Cause I'm still involved with them and like, I would do it again if they asked me to, so. But that's not the typical one, but that is an option.
Yeah, a lot of students will do like a study abroad or research project, internships. That's one of the things that I like is that it really can sort of be customized to whatever your needs are, whatever makes the most sense with your major, that sort of thing. Samantha or Gwen, would one of you be willing to talk about the bachelor's essay? I know Samantha mentioned it a little bit, but I'd love to hear about your projects.
Sure. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go.
I was just going to say that I'm a junior, but since I have an education major, I have to start my bachelor's essay a semester early because I have to do student teaching my second semester. And I actually just got the email back yesterday that I reached out to one of my professors and asked if they wanted to work with me, and they said yes, which is very exciting. But basically what you do is you choose a research topic. I think Samantha was mentioning this earlier, so I'm choosing like a history topic to do. And basically I emailed one of my professors who taught a class in that subject. And I was like, hey, I have this research project that I need a supervisor for. Would you be willing to work with me? She said yes, thankfully. And it's just a year long or like 2 semester, however you want to split up the semesters, because mine will be second semester junior year and first semester senior year. But most of the time it's like your whole senior year. And it's just basically a year long research project that like culminates in this essay. And throughout like honors, I've noticed it seems very scary because you hear this term like thrown around a lot, just like bachelor's essay and this huge project, but it is just a great opportunity for like a research essay. That's basically what it is. It's just this like mentor relationship that you have with another professor, and you get to write about a topic that you're really passionate about. So it seems overwhelming, but once you like have a mentor and a topic in mind, it seems a lot more doable. And I haven't started mine yet, obviously. So if Samantha wants to speak about how she's actually done it, then yeah.
Sure, I can talk about that a little bit. I actually had an interesting experience because I changed my major last year, so I thought I would be doing marine bio research and found that mentor and kind of got started on a project and was going to study sponges. And now I've done complete 180 and I'm studying, for lack of a better term, whale bones. So it's paleontology research with the museum that we have here. And definitely, like you said, got started early, talked to the teacher before the summer. But it's kind of a great opportunity too. I've gotten to like talk to teachers and pick their brains about their personal research and kind of see what would be a good fit for me because you know so far in advance that this is something required, which has been really nice. Yeah, it's been going pretty good. It's kind of scary because it's really focused on you being excited and ready and making the time for it because there's not really a structure unless that's what you and your mentor decide. But my mentor just kind of lets me do it and then send him stuff. But it's really great to kind of use all of the skills. It's a lot of literature review. It's a lot of using, PowerPoint and Excel and weird things that I learned in other classes that I never thought I'd look at again. But I'm like, oh, wait, I learned that word in this one class I took freshman year, so now I know what to do. Or making an annotated bibliography, which I did in academic writing. I never thought I'd have to do that again. So it's kind of a weird way to bring everything together, even if it doesn't feel like it's going to fit together. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of it. I'm still, it's only October, so still in the early stages, but yeah, it's a great project. And I also did my Honors Immersed study abroad as well. I went to Ireland a couple weeks, and that's how I satisfied that. So that one's definitely an easier one. It's a lot more options available for Honors Immersed.
Okay, so a big question here. what is the benefit of taking honors classes? So we've been talking a lot about them and what the options are, but what's the benefit?
I know I just spoke, but one class I took that highlights this so well is this AI and technology class I took last semester with Dr. Bozak. I have no interest in AI and technology. I didn't think I did. I took it because it was an option that sounded the most, the most interesting to me. And I talk about that class with people all of the time. I learned so much about what's going on in the world around me today and the future of jobs and the future of technology and the future of biotechnology because of that class. And I feel like I've become so much more well-versed in just conversational topics that come up with adults especially and other professors than I ever thought I would be before. I mean, it really was just 3 credits and a 6 months experience where I got to read books I never would have picked up otherwise and learn about topics I never would have otherwise. But now I'm so incredibly grateful I did because it was so engaging and so interesting. And that structure we talked about earlier made it such an exciting class because I was able to read on my own and kind of come to my own conclusions and then meet with other people and discuss. And it was a lot of debate in that class, which was really enjoyable too. So I really feel like honors teaches you critical thinking skills and you learn about things that are important but aren't emphasized in traditional academic tracks.
I definitely second everything Samantha said, but I think you also get the chance for more discussion, like we said, and more experiential learning in a class that I feel like I really had to decide was my favorite class, data visualization and storytelling with Professor Alfonso. We had the opportunity to go to a hackathon in North Charleston, which if you don't know what that is, it's you basically go and do like a bunch of like computer science stuff. And I'm not even a computer science person, but I went with computer science people and we had a great time. And we also got to we used that project to do a poster for the SSMB poster session. So I got a lot of like great experience from that class that I wouldn't have otherwise. And that was my freshman year. And that's a lot of stuff I didn't think I would be able to do until later on in my academic career. But I got a lot of great experience out of it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with all of that. Especially when you get into your second and third year and you do like the more like seminar style, it's definitely like you're learning about more stuff that's like going on in the world. I feel like sometimes you can get stuck in your major classes where you're like very focused on, because I mean, I love my majors, like I love English classes, but I can get very focused on like English and the English tradition and like just reading books and stuff. And so like the honors classes kind of like still like, you still have to like write and read, but you think about things, like she said, more critically, and you think about things in terms of like the world we're living in now. So like right now I'm taking a polluted information and you class, which is about kind of the evolution of the internet and how it's led to like misinformation and like the social effects of memes and stuff, which is things I would never have thought about, and kind of like how that's affected our society. And I'm learning like so much that you wouldn't normally learn in normal class, but that's also like helpful, like helping you kind of connect dots and stuff that are like going on in the real world. So it's just like, it's useful to take them just because I'm like a naturally curious person and want to know more stuff about the world. And I feel like they definitely give you that. They give you exposure to information and types of learning that your major classes don't necessarily do.
I completely agree with Gabby. I think that was it does expose you to a lot of information that maybe you hadn't heard before. And for me, so I took this class last semester. The professor I was talking about, Dr. Joshua Shanes, who I love so much, his class was about like nationalism and how nations are created, and how like ethnicities are kind of like constructed and things like that. And we had to do a final presentation in that class, and we had to choose like a certain ethnicity to talk about and kind of give that presentation about. And I did mine on China. And now I'm doing my bachelor's essay on like the impact of Chinese nationalism. So it can just like, it can lead you in a completely different direction than you thought. And now I'm applying to grad schools in that subject. So I think honors is really amazing. And that just like gives you, it just gives you an idea of like what all is out there. Cause I never would have known that like I had a passion for this subject unless I had taken that specific class. So yeah, the honors special topics classes seem like so specific and so like weird when you read them, but then when you're in that class, it's so I don't know, just like what Gabby was saying, it exposes you to a lot of different information and gives you an opportunity to kind of pursue something that maybe you never thought you'd be interested in. And it's really been a great benefit to me in that way.
Jenna, did you want to add anything to that? Or does that sum it up?
I don't know. I was just going to give a freshman perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know, like, sometimes, like, I know I was worried that my classes weren't going to be super engaging as a freshman, but I feel like I'm in Honors Intro to Southern Studies with Meleana, and that class is, I was a little, like, worried going into it, but the professor, Dr. Peoples, he's really cool. I highly recommend him. He's kind of catered the class to things that are like racial issues and like political issues that are currently going on, and a lot of the discussions that we have, I feel like have kind of geared towards that sort of I'm blanking on words, just like that, what's going on now. It's something I find like kind of cool because I can learn from like my peers about different things that they're passionate about, but those topics. And there's also an experiential learning aspect. Like we've gone on field trips like museums and some of the historical houses in Charleston. So I feel like that's helped me connect with the community a lot better, especially since we just got here like 4 weeks ago. That has been really nice. So I just wanted to give a freshman take on it.
Yeah, I think I can build on that a little bit too. I was going to say the same thing as Jenna. Actually, I feel like that course is really relevant. And just, I think honors in general gives you different perspectives that you can relate to things that are going on in the world, or that are big themes that you see constantly. So I think honors allows you to be more intellectually engaged than in a class that might just be focused on pushing content. So I think it's a fulfilling feeling that I think a lot of honors students are seeking. So it makes education a lot more satisfactory.
So there was a question in the chat box that I do want to ask out loud. It's who usually teaches classes, TAs or professors. And so I just want to reiterate that College of Charleston uses primarily professors to teach all of our classes. The Honors College is no exception. So not only are they really great faculty members, they actually have to apply to teach, which is how we make sure, like Madeline was saying, that they're just some of the best. But really the only time you might have a grad student or like a peer who would be helping with a class would be in one of the labs. So with some sciences like biology and geology, you might take a lab where you would have a TA, but everything else will be taught by a full professor. Okay, so I want to end with one final question. We'll do a little popcorn question, popcorn style question. So what is your favorite honors class that you have taken so far, and why?
So mine is probably, the one I'm in right now is pretty interesting, the fluid information, but I'll have to go with banned books from around the world and how banned books shapes the world, with Marjorie Wentworth, who is the poet laureate of South Carolina. I loved that because it combined it combined English and international studies, because we looked at books that had been banned like across the world and reasons for them. And so it just kind of gave you like a different perspective on society and through literature. And I read some books that I wouldn't have read before, but that I really valued reading. And then we also got to like do this. There's a banned book week in the fall, and I took it in a fall semester. So we got to host this panel and ask all these different professors to be on it. So it's just like, that was also like a really cool thing. And I asked my English professor, and he was on it, and he talked about like early banning of books. And so it was like, yeah, we got to do like a cool event with it too. So that's my favorite.
I can go next. I'm only in 2 honors courses now, but my favorite of the 2 is my Intro to Southern Studies course. I really just like how it's a mix. We spend just like a class period learning about a different period of Southern history. And I really like that because it's given me a taste of a little bit of everything and gotten me interested in some new ideas that, like everyone keeps saying, I never really would have thought of that I would enjoy, but I do. And then I just like it.
I kind of already said mine multiple times, but it's data visualization and storytelling with Professor Alfonso because of how many just like cool things, experiential learning type of situations that we did all semester long. And I just did a lot of things I didn't think I would do and I met some of my best friends in that class. So.
Yeah, that's key. I feel like we haven't necessarily talked about that, but I feel like a lot of times you're making connections with your classmates and getting to know them better. Yeah, and making friends in your honors classes for sure.
I can go. So I actually don't have that much, that many courses to choose from. So I will say that Honors Intro to Southern Studies is my favorite currently. I'm just going to reiterate what Jenna said, but it is a lot of, we do get to explore a lot of different topics that, like I said, are relevant to our current situations. And we do get to learn about history, but also culture and why things have shaped the South into the way that it is today. Like the other day, we were talking about air conditioning and how it shaped the South. And it's just like, wow, that almost went over my head, but that's really cool. So yeah.
Fascinating. I'm intrigued. Gwen or Samantha, favorite honors class?
My favorite honors class, I don't think it's a surprise, is my nationalism class that I've talked about. I really enjoyed it. We had like a couple of guest speakers that were super interesting. The discussions always like went in a completely different direction than we expected. I think another part of that class I loved was like the actual people in the class. We still have like a group chat that we talk in today. It's so much fun because we like all, we had a similar experience, so it's fun to talk about it. But yeah, I absolutely adored that class. I learned so much.
I did already talk about like the AI and technology class was probably my favorite I took, but I will say honorable mention to BGS. I liked it so much. I've taught it now for 3 years in a row. I think it really just prepares everybody for future success, and the reason we all get to take and do so many cool experiential learning opportunities and get internships and jobs and research opportunities is really from the resumes you make and the LinkedIn profiles you make and everything like that in BGS. So I liked it enough. I've stuck with it for 4 years now.
That was a great BGS plug. It also explains why I'm suddenly getting LinkedIn requests from all of the freshmen right now, including a couple that are on this call. I'm not gonna point any fingers, but yeah, so some of those life skills that you learn and that really help you then go forward and do some of these other things. So just in closing, I want to thank everyone again for joining us, especially our panelists for sharing some of their personal experiences. Honors courses are, they were one of my favorite parts when I was a student. Those are always the ones that I remember. And even the ones that you take that you go, why do I have to take this? You look back and think, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. And this is, everything that I didn't know that I needed to know. So smaller classes, a little bit more reading, more critical thinking, more real world connections, connecting with one another. Those are all some aspects that you can expect when it comes to the honors courses that you'll take. So thank you all again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. And I'll be sharing this video with those of you who joined us tonight. All right, bye everyone.